Hey everyone, today I'm going to be doing a video where I stipple this M&P 9 here. Now, for those of you who've seen my other videos, you probably know that in the past I have stippled my M&P Shield. Obviously, this just being the single stack subcompact version of this full-size M&P 9 here. The nice thing about the M&Ps, and one reason I like stippling them, is where a lot of the look comes from as far as the kind of fit and finish, so to speak, of stippling comes with nice clean lines that you're staying within, and that's one thing you pretty much have provided for you on the M&P series of guns. You have a nice solid line, and then you have this entire area, which is where I typically stipple, and I leave the center section blank unless the person specifically requests it. But having that nice clean line is going to make it look very nice as a finished product. The other nice thing too is the way the texturing is. I don't feel that you need to smooth it out like you do on Glocks. If you've seen my video on Glocks or even Springfield XDs, I typically have to take a Dremel and smooth out the entire area that I'm going to stipple just so I have a nice clean surface to work with, and I don't necessarily feel that that's necessary with the M&Ps. Another thing to mention too is with the replaceable back straps that you get on the M&P series, at least on the full-size ones, if you don't like the stippling, only on the back strap in this case, but if you don't like the stippling, you can just swap it out and put a factory original one back on there, and then you don't have to worry about it. Or you can swap out to one of the other ones that are provided for you. Or let's say you know that you want to use this specific back strap, and say you know you're never going to want to use the small one. If you want to, you could practice on the small one and get comfortable with it before you actually do it to the grip that you're going to want to actually use when it's all said and done. So some really nice options that you get with the Smith & Wesson M&P series, just on top of the fact that these are actually really good guns. Working as an instructor, I very, very rarely see people have issues with M&Ps. Not to say that there haven't been some issues out there, but they're a really good option. This isn't gonna, I want to avoid trying to make this into a review of the M&P, just telling you some of the nice things about doing it stippling. Then for those of you who are curious what kind of tools I'm going to be using, the soldering iron I use, and this is a soldering iron, is a Weller 40-watt soldering iron, and it has LED lights built into it, which is nice, so it helps illuminate the area that you're working on. The tip that I'm using is just the fine tip. This one particularly comes with a like 2 flathead sizes, which I'll use for like my sprinkles pattern stippling, but just for the standard dot pattern, like on my shield here, I'm just going to use this fine tip. Basically, what I'm going to do is, to help with the look of it, I'm just going to basically line out the entire thing and just keep following that contour all the way into the middle, and then repeat that on both sides, and then do the same on the front strap there. Right now I'm just going to be doing the front and back strap of this one, and from my experience that gives it a really good look, and hopefully you'll see that once this video is done. Now, one thing I'm also going to be doing differently in this video, typically when I'm actually doing the stippling, obviously I speed up the footage so that you don't have to watch 3 hours worth of work. But in this case, I'm going to try out putting music behind it. Let me know what you guys think of that. If you guys like it, if you guys don't like it, let me know either way. I may or may not try to do something like it again in the future, but just something different, since this is, my 4th or 5th stippling video. Figure I'd try something new. So let me know what you guys think of that. But without any further ado, I got my fan sitting on my desk next to me off here to my left, since I'm obviously going to be melting the plastic here more or less. I don't want to be breathing those fumes as much as possible. So I got my fan on my left, got a window open on my right, so I'll have nice positive airflow, and we'll start knocking this thing out. Alright, so now it's been a couple hours and we're pretty much all done here. As you can see, I think the back strap came out really well. I noticed that on the front strap here, I don't know if it's just a different type of polymer, but it seemed to string out a lot more. So it's going to have a much rougher look right now. I took some, I think this is 150 grit sandpaper, and kind of smoothed it out a little bit. And I don't know how well you'll be able to see, but it definitely looks a little rough right now, and you know, some of the fuzziness is kind of matted out. But over with just regular use, all that will come off. You know, you need to be practicing with draws and everything anyway, and after a little bit of use, that's gonna kind of almost polish itself out and kind of resemble the appearance on the back strap a little bit more from my experience. If you still don't like it, you can sand it down even more, but I still want to retain some of the texturing there just to make sure that it's aggressive enough. You can always make it smoother, but it's very difficult to make it more aggressive. If it still bothers you too, once you kind of smooth it out, you can take your soldering iron and, you know, hit all those holes again and, you know, kind of melt it back the way it needs to be, but that's not something that I really want to do right now, or that I think is necessary, because again, I know that with use it'll smooth itself out. But you know, after a couple hours work, I think it turned out really well. It feels a lot better, I think. We'll see what the owner thinks of it, but you know, I'm happy with the way it came out. One thing you may notice also is I ended up taking the slide off. The main reason I did that was normally I like having the weight to be able to manipulate it around like on a Glock, but I felt that it was a lot heavier this way, so it was becoming cumbersome to have that weight on there. So I took the slide off, made life a lot easier, so I recommend just doing that from the get-go. So, you know, something to keep in mind if you do this yourself. You know, if you found this helpful, you know, I recommend you check out my other stippling videos and with some of the other textures out there, but I think the dot pattern works really well on the M&P series. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to throw those in the comment section below. I'll try to get back to you as quick as I can. I try to keep on top of the comments as best I can. But as always, I hope you're able to get something out of this video, and I really appreciate you watching. The only markings I can find on this barrel is that it's a 1 in 7, which I probably should have mentioned earlier, and that it's rated for 5.56 NATO. There's no manufacturer's marking.